Ready.
This is usually my most awkward part of the show,
Yeah.
where I'm at my whitest. I'm not sure what to
White?
do when the good music is on.
Yeah.
But I can't really dance. I don't look cool, so I just sort of sit here.
The white dance is just kind of like sway a little.
You gotta like,
This is pretty black music we've picked here.
and it's good. And I feel like hopefully it's not doing a disservice to them, but
It is
we appreciate
good
it.
music. And hello and welcome to the Moon Underwater. I'm Kelly Daniels.
Allegedly, I am Steve Jones.
Allegedly. And here we are at headquarters. Last time we recorded was at Tommy's.
It's funny to say last time we recorded.
What's that?
It's funny that you said last time that we recorded.
Not the last time we were here.
That's correct. Why is that?
I didn't want to bring it up, Steve.
Well, it's too late.
I didn't want to bring it up.
But you will.
Well, let me start off by the you didn't watch the right movie.
I did not.
And here's another thing that I loved about this. You were the one that chose it. So I texted you
It's true.
like about 6 dystopian movies because I want to get into dystopian movies for a little while after, you know. And you picked this one, and I thought, okay, that's cool. And then later you said, is it going to be in Portuguese?
Right.
And I thought, I don't think he knows about this movie.
I don't.
And but you
I'd never heard of
you
it.
had watched a different movie by the time, and so we got here, and I set up our gear, and then we just drank our pitcher
I
of beer.
assumed that it was going to be in Portuguese, and thus I wanted to change my mind because I didn't feel like reading.
Yeah.
I
Well,
know, lazy.
you know what? It wasn't a big deal. Here's something I did at we were at a party recently, and I said in front of a lot of people that we should meet in Greece
Yes.
when I'm in Italy next summer and you're in Spain because Greece is between Italy and Spain.
Pretty amazing.
And I was
I was like, which map?
I got a lot of grief from a lot of people as
said,
if,
look,
you know,
I'm an English professor, okay?
like
I write.
you expect me to look at a map
Yeah.
and be able to tell what is in between two things and not, nor am I a mathematician because that is something like geography.
It is.
I mean geometry,
Both
whatever
of
it's
those
called.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said my name tag does not say hello. My name is Magellan. Okay, I don't give a fuck where it is. They're close. Okay,
It's true.
That was the point.
So my point is we do make mistakes sometimes. And whoa, what the heck's going on here?
oh, I gotta.
We're having a little
There
bit
it
of
is.
a boom stand. This thing is
Yes.
loose.
Ooh, and we got a little
some-
Grateful Dead going on. We're adjusting this.
Yeah, this is not
I don't
good.
want to break more equipment because
This
I've
is
already
not-
broken the.
This is not good radio.
The camera may fall, which would be good radio later on YouTube radio.
Yeah, YouTube radio.
Right.
So we watched Brazil.
Yeah.
And
What?
here
Should we
is
hook?
here. I don't know that I have a hook, but this will be like the
Oh.
title of it and stuff. And this is why I'm bumping it up on our publish list. It is. I've heard about the movie. It's a pretty famous movie, infamous movie, whatever. Or it's an artsy cult film.
Yeah.
Been around. I think filmed in 1985.
Yep.
Released Terry Gilliam
Yep.
with Monty Python,
Pretty good
and
price.
it's a Christmas movie. It takes place about 5 days from Christmas.
Does.
The whole thing, there's Christmas shopping. There's a mall scene where people are Christmas shopping. There's a lot of people in Santa outfits.
Yep.
Amidst a lot of, and there's even the jackbooted like secret military police,
Right.
who are singing Christmas carols
They are.
at one point
Yeah.
in a bleak basement.
And they're getting
so-
called out for being flat. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. And so yeah, I have like a nice elevator pitch for what this is, but I know that we're coming up with hooks.
Yeah.
What's your so the whole that it's a Christmas, that's not a hook, but it's my hot take. And yeah.
Well, my hook is I would like to see if you can get what I'm now minting. It's minting, I guess. The Steve-O-meter above about a 40% on this.
You're
movie.
minting
Yeah.
the Steve-O-meter.
Yeah, I've
You're
come
minting.
up with this.
Got it.
Yeah.
So like minting.
I've come up with the phrase.
money.
We're
Okay.
calling calling this
The Stevometer.
The Stevometer.
All right.
I'm at about a 40 out of 100.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
That's not a hook. That's a don't listen to this podcast.
No. I want to see if you can do it. It's on you. I want to see if you can English professor the hell out of this movie to get me to love it.
Okay, sure. Well, I don't know if that's my job. Like in
it is
terms
today.
of being.
No, I just said it.
But
so
being an English professor
that
doesn't mean.
Wait, literally, that is your job.
No, I don't have to make them like it.
Oh.
But I do have to make them read it. And if they don't like it, they need to come up with reasons instead of meh.
I want to have my eyes open to the things that I missed because it took me a long time to watch this.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, I'm still not done.
Okay, you mean just emotional time?
No.
You were
Just,
stopping it.
I was like,
constantly.
I am not paying any attention to this because I can't get into it.
Huh.
I know. I'm
I don't know,
disappointed
man.
in me too.
That's
Thank you.
Tough.
I know.
That's not a very entertaining take, I've got to say.
No, but there's
because-
tons of entertaining things that I found.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
As long as you can hate anything you want, but I don't want you to be boring.
I mean, again, Stevometer's at like a 40, right? I mean, that may go up.
and you're discerning.
Yeah.
It's
It's
tough.
all on
to,
you, though. I'm putting that on you today.
to like it.
No, to open my eyes to the things that I missed.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that it was in my top 10 greatest films of all times by any means, but it's definitely interesting. And so here's my elevator pitch of what this movie is. It is 1984,
Yep.
created by somebody from Monty Python.
Already, you have
That's
skipped
it.
to my last 1984. And I mean, it's complete with Winston and Julia.
It's
And
obvious.
the star-crossed lovers. And the
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we're coming up with some interesting take. That's obviously what the
Right.
project is. And it's made by somebody from, Monty Python it is ridiculous.
Yes.
And I wouldn't call it exactly funny, but it is silly.
It's humorous.
In
There's
many
silly
ways.
parts. And there's very Monty Python.
And Monty
esque
Python could be
parts.
very grim in places.
Oh, yeah.
Like the Black Knight that gets all his limbs hacked off, and we're laughing, and there's
Yeah.
blood spurting everywhere. There's some of that going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things I loved about this movie and about the take on 1984.
I have maybe a little. I'll have one that I bring up, a movie that I will compare it to later.
All right.
Is this the hook? I'll have
Yeah,
a
so
movie that I
you-
compare it to later that that you're gonna go. Okay, I can see that.
So you need to listen to the end.
Yeah,
to
all the way to
find
the very
out,
last minute.
Steve, everything good about this
Yeah.
podcast is going to happen in the last 30
So
seconds.
don't fast forward now. You gotta
Or-
listen. You won't know how we get there.
That's
All
right.
right.
Okay, so
I like to start out with Act One.
So you're 40 out of 100.
Yeah.
I would give it more like 70 out of 100.
On the Calliometer.
Yeah. Just in terms of, I don't know, watchability, interestingness. So I like movies that are enjoyable to watch, but that are confusing and make me work because I know I'll be thinking about them days later.
This was pretty confusing.
So a movie that a lot of movies these days, and this is probably a brag, I suppose, or a flex. I'm not particularly proud of it, but I've just noticed it. It's actually a burden. I can predict exactly what's going to happen within 5 minutes of the whole thing. And I know I can see every punch is telegraphed, and it's so obvious. And I don't think it's because the writers of movies are just bad. It's that they are aiming for the lowest common denominator of people who's don't
sitting right across
pay
from you.
attention. I wasn't going to say that, but
You
it was
didn't have
implied.
to, I could tell.
Some of our clever listeners would have already got
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And that I'm talking to you, clever listener. It's. But anyway, this one didn't, and I actually like novels like that too that other people just find confusing. Not because I'm so smart that I understand them, the other way around, because I don't understand them. I want to struggle with them. I want to think about them. I want there to be a cloudiness in its. I'm going to get really pretentious here. The great
More so than normal? Or?
the great Wallace Stevens. I think so. This is Wallace Stevens for The Idea of Order at Key West, from one of the great modernist poets of America. This and one of the famous poems, and confusing poem. But it ends. It's a poem about poetry, and it's about the purpose of poetry.
Meta.
It is meta. And I like meta. I don't think you like meta.
I don't mind.
You don't? You're okay with meta?
Yeah. I wouldn't have gotten it when I read it, so
we call it in poetry, instead of meta, we call it an ars poetica.
Well,
It's about art, the art of poetry.
That
it's
is pretentious.
poetry about poetry.
This just went up a notch here.
It did.
Yeah.
I wish I had a dial where I could just turn up or down my pretentiousness just by the AIs will have that pretty soon. But his final famous line is the purpose of poetry is to translate reality, that's my words, not his, into ghostlier demarcations and keener sounds. I don't think he has the and there. I think it's a comma. Ghostlier demarcations. A demarcation is a border between two things.
Send your corrections to the guys at themoonunderwater.com.
What's that?
Send your corrections. So if anybody out there in our listening public would like to correct Kelly on the poem.
Oh, yeah, sure. No, I think I got it. Ghostlier demarcations, keener sounds. So the stuff of reality should be sharper. So this was like hyper. It wasn't real by any means, but it was more striking than real.
Oh.
It wasn't just squalor. It was okay. We can go into many places that are squalid in America and outside America, but this squalor had a very particular vibe to it.
Okay.
And that vibe was ductwork.
Was.
But it was a theme, and it
In
was
the movie,
it was
not in the poem.
No,
Right.
we're in the movie now, but it's a kind of keener sounds thing. It's hyper real, and ghostlier demarcations. Those are the border between one thing and the other. Just gets erased a little bit and bleeds into each other, and that's a fancy way to say I have a higher tolerance than a lot of kind of consumers of stories for ambiguity and just not getting it, certainly the first time or even the last time. You know, sometimes I'll live with a story forever and I know I'll never quite understand it, but I still love it and it matters to me. I feel like this scores on that. But before I don't want to put this on the level of the highest art ever, because I think some of it was just kind of sloppy, making it up as he goes along a little. And
there were some plot questions that I would have had when they were putting it together and editing. It's like there was a lot of character movement without any explanation.
You know who agrees with you? Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert gave it 2 stars out of 4.
Yes.
And he said it looked cool and it was like a valiant effort, but that it just didn't make sense.
It looked cool. That's like number 3 on my list.
Yeah.
That visually it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Because it's so just so dark.
It's
and
grimy
ducks everywhere.
Yeah.
The ducks, and they start out with an ad. That's how the movie starts. Act 1 opens with an ad for, "Are you tired of how your ducks look?
Yeah.
You can get them replaced
Ducks.
with ducks that look like this," and it's ductwork like air ducts that are everywhere.
So it all takes place in a kind of amorphous giant city.
Yeah.
And the city is connected by ductwork, and it seems to be their HVAC.
Yeah.
Seems to rule this entire society in many
pretty great.
ways. And I think it's really funny. And it takes the piss out of 1984's heaviness.
Yes.
And also the competence of
Yes.
the fascists. Here, they're completely incompetent.
They're totally incompetent.
Except the secret police always do seem to get you.
So we're following a bureaucrat, low-level bureaucrat, named Sam Lowry, who is played by Jonathan Pryce, who's been in. He's the kind of guy that when you look him up, you go, "Oh yeah, he's been in a bunch of stuff."
Yeah.
And a lot of 80s movies, and beyond. I want to say
This being one of them.
Well, this is. Can I say he was in the X-Files movie and be right? I think he was. Anyway, we also have some alum from Monty Python. So Michael Palin is playing Jack.
Yeah.
So his friend.
Yeah.
and Kim Greist is playing Jill Layton. She's one of those, again, you're gonna notice who she is.
Yeah.
And she's sort of the love interest, right? So
Yeah.
So if Sam Lowry
She had the short-haired 1980s, like she would have been
Pat Benatar.
Like a jazzerciser too,
Yeah.
though, in that era.
Totally.
Like lost everybody who's younger than 40, but
Yeah.
I think our audience is probably mainly 40.
I hope so.
We'll see. No,
Yeah.
we're gonna get those youngs.
Yes.
So she had that look. Let's see. What was I going to say about Sam real quickly? Here, I have kind of a hook, like a 15 minutes in hook. Who does Sam remind you of in our current news cycle? I can answer that, but let me give you a chance
I have
to
no idea.
my controversial. Let me tell you what he is. He's a super rich kid who's disaffected by the system.
Yeah, I mean,
he's an underachiever. His parents, you know who I'm talking about. And he is a daydreamer, and he dreams that he's going to be a hero, and he's going to save the poor people.
Well,
and particularly
or
his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But also he's watching the family that his agency screwed over.
Right.
And he feels bad for them. And
they went after Buttle instead of Tuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a bug gets mixed up in their record keeping. And he decides to rebel again, take down the system.
Right.
And what good did he do in the end? He got himself thrown in jail probably for the, like he got caught by the cops.
He had the Winston-esque, you didn't make it to the end of 1984, but Winston gets strapped to a chair.
Yeah.
And he basically has, whatever horrors in room 213 await you
Yeah.
are the worst thing you could possibly imagine. Of course, that's where he ends up.
Yeah.
And that's where it really had, the smacking of 1984.
Right.
I mean.
But, so who is my
it's Luigi, what's his name?
Mangione.
Yeah.
Mangione is how Americans say it.
Yeah.
How do the Italians say it? They say Mangione.
Mangione.
Okay. So he, by the way, I'm not going to weigh in very heavily on this, but I wasn't on he's so cool. Wow, he's my new hero.
Right.
Not at all. But I saw a video today, and he's like pretty damn good skateboarder.
Really?
Like, oh yeah, he could do like a kick flip over like a 3-foot wall high, like 3-foot high wall and land it. Like,
wow.
So like really like
that's pretty
not
legit.
just like he can kind of skate and do an ollie. He is like
pretty good shot too.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Well,
that was a good one.
I mean, somebody was going to say it.
I want to since we're going to say just terrible things. Here's my thing.
We specialize in it.
So there was another school shooting today.
Oh,
did you know that?
No.
Yeah, in Wisconsin. This is. I'm going to be inappropriately jokey, but it's real. I mean, it sucks, and I'm not happy about it.
Okay.
And I'm not making light. But the name of the school that they shot up, Abundant Life.
Oh wow.
So anyway,
sweet irony.
That's my cancellation statement for today.
Yeah, well, I mean, every time we do this, we try to get canceled.
Abundant
somehow.
Life.
Abundant Life.
Anyway, so Sam is the rich kid who is an underachiever. He just doesn't want to, do much. And his mom wants him to kind of move up in the ranks, and his buddy Jack wants him to kind of move up. And so he thinks he can help this girl he has a crush on,
right?
Who's in trouble.
Well, but he doesn't. Does he really have a crush on her before? I felt like he had seen her and was, and again, this was maybe me being distracted, not paying enough attention to it. He hadn't
Watching
seen her.
porn on your phone while.
It's true.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to take notes on my phone, and I kept finding myself on Facebook, which I don't normally. So that's how into this I was.
Distracted student. Yeah.
And so, had he seen her before he started having the weird dreams?
No, the first scene after the commercial, it goes into his dream.
Okay.
And maybe even the dream is before the commercial.
Okay. So he's having these dreams about her, and in my head, he had no idea who she was.
Yeah.
And then he sees her like magically. He's drawn to her, and that he's got to talk to her.
Yeah.
And when he
So
hears
the
that she's having a
dreams
problem.
are he's flying in a kind of like Birdman.
Icarus-like suit.
Yeah, Icarus Birdman suit.
made
And
out
he's
of metal.
flying through, and it's a beautiful kind of sky, and there's like jungles below and
Yep.
stuff when you see the ground. And he sees her, and she is all a blonde woman, long blonde hair, and she's swathed in like lace.
Yeah.
And that's it. But here's what I think. He meets her in real life. The dream version is very vague.
Yeah.
And so he just implants his dream onto her. I don't think we're in a supernatural world here. I think we're in a weird world.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're in a world where
All right.
where magic is operating. And
Well, it just there was like some attraction that he had, so thought it was
Yeah.
good. All right.
no, and so but the dream is a recurring part of this story, and so I had something to say about that. But anyway, were
Oh.
you going to carry on with the
No,
summary?
just he's hearing her at the Ministry of Information,
Yeah,
where he currently works,
yeah,
and she is trying to get Buttle out of being imprisoned.
Yeah.
because Buttle was
So one of the
improperly
first
arrested.
scenes is a family. They're at Christmas. They're getting ready for Christmas. They have a Christmas tree, and they're trying to wrap presents, or they're putting presents under the tree. And it's just a miserably poor family, or like not destitute poor, but just kind of a grim existence. Tenement building.
Yeah.
And the roof just opens up.
Yeah.
A big hole is drilled into the roof, and jackbooted secret police go in, and they zip the guy into this really creepy looking suit.
Yeah.
And it's really brutal, and it's
it's-
kind of a funny, absurd story, but the violence is actually really, really violent and not cute at all. And they just abduct this guy, and ultimately, we'll jump ahead, torture him to death.
Right.
Before they realize that it was a clerical error.
The wrong guy was
They
tortured
just
to
got
death.
the wrong guy, and then the bureaucracy of it can never admit it's wrong, and it's just destroyed these people's lives. And so our hero, if that's what we're going to call him, Sam, sees a pretty girl that's trying to advocate for them, and that's
Right.
how he gets to understand there is this thing out there called poor people who
Right.
are getting completely screwed
Right.
by the system he works for and never even thinks about. His
Right.
own world is just his mom, resentment of his mom, who's this like plastic surgery old
The
lady.
scene where we're introduced to her is great. Like
Yeah.
they're stretching her face out,
Yeah.
and they're talking about the treatments that she's getting, and
Yeah.
there's it's like silly putty as how
Yeah,
much
her
they're
whole
stretching her
face,
face.
yeah.
Then after that, they're insisting on taking him out to dinner or lunch. It was lunch.
Yeah.
And so there's a very weird scene at the restaurant. I wanted to get your take on this.
Yeah.
So the waiter is demanding to know the number
Yeah.
of what he wants, and he's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I want a steak rare.
Yeah.
And they're all going around just saying the number, and the waiter's demanding that he say, I think it was number 3.
Right.
And the food comes out, and there's pictures of the food
Yeah.
with the food, and the food doesn't look anything like the food.
The food is just ground up paste
Yeah, it
that
looks
they
like
put
cat
in
food, kinda.
in a
Yeah.
ball, and but then it comes with a picture of what it's supposed to kind of taste like, I
Right.
guess,
Yeah. So I don't know if that was like it's the future. Like, I feel like on
Yeah.
the Jetsons, they kind of,
It's just gross.
you just eat a pill. You
It's
don't
that.
really eat.
It's gross. Even the rich people, even if you're the richest people, their life kind of sucks. But if you're poor, life really sucks. So
Right.
the restaurant is gross.
But then wait, there's a fire at the restaurant.
So you didn't get the whole like terrorism.
I
plot.
did, but was that what it was?
That was the third terrorism act of the
Okay.
movie.
All right.
So
Well,
you
I
weren't
did-
watching carefully enough to have
Carefully.
got that there were
No.
explosions going on
Well,
because you
what-
were checking your phone every 2 minutes.
It's because stuff would blow up, and I'd be like, oh, okay. Like,
You
I
gotta,
don't-
hey man, as the teacher of this class,
Yeah.
you got to pay attention. Like you can't expect movies to just like if you're
man.
not
That's
like
kind
if
of a drag,
So here it is. No, you made me watch this art movie, and I watched it, and I didn't like it, and I got to see on my paper, how come? But it was boring. I'm like, you can't even recount the plot.
I can't.
So how can I, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you have to, if you're going to really, actually, Roger Ebert, I thought, really missed it too. I thought that he just didn't understand it.
Did he have his phone, and was he on Facebook as well?
I don't know. I think that he would miss things. He liked paint by numbers plots.
So you're saying Roger Ebert and I are the lowest common denominator of food?
I read a lot of reviews of this, by the way. I read like 5, and
That's
almost
a
all
lot.
of them were glowing.
Yeah, I know.
And Roger Ebert was the outsider of it, and I thought that he missed it. He just didn't understand it, and he made it sound like it was the movie's fault. I think it was his fault.
I do. Know
I don't
that there
blame
was
you.
terrorist stuff.
You're a
going
guy.
on.
You're the every man of this
true.
podcast.
That's true. I am.
I hope you'll try to at least be able to recount the plot in a coherent way. If you're going to also give things a 40 out of 100.
Well, I mean, I knew that there was like the terrorist stuff going on, but then
there were blow-ups,
kept
and then
going. That was the Monty Python scene. I thought that there was an explosion, and then something's on fire. But rather than clear everybody out, they do something absurd, which is they put up like a.
The idea is that terrorist attacks happen so frequently,
Yeah.
like school shootings, that nobody even cares anymore. They barely interrupt dinner.
It didn't. Yeah.
And I mean,
He finally got annoyed.
Yeah, rich people get annoyed when these things happen. But the prime minister, the president, comes on and he's talking about the terrorist acts. And they've been going on for, I think, 15 years or something. And they're like, oh, we're about to catch them. But every terrorist attack is, that's why we need more funding to go to more terrorist police.
Sounds about, like the last 25 years. But anyway.
Well, here's a read that none of the reviewers I read got. It was clear to me, like really clear, like obvious. The terrorist attacks were false flag events that were done by the government to justify more police.
Oh,
and there were a lot of them. I mean, it was every 20 minutes there was a new kind of terror thing, or at least some kind of, because it happened at the mall.
I was going with IRA was the.
Yeah, I think it's debatable whether the terrorist attacks were coming from the government itself.
Okay.
But his girlfriend, what's her name? She's like, have you ever seen an actual terrorist? And he goes, no, but they're there.
Then he thought she was one
Yeah.
because of the box.
Yeah.
And then there was an explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't her.
I did pay
It wasn't her.
attention to that.
You got that part. Yeah. So no, that's just another terrorist attack, and then that lunch scene was. I mean, it's not a very good society. it's a bummer of a place to live.
I actually kind of liked the scene in
Yeah.
general without paying that much attention to it, apparently. I paid attention more later, I guess.
Maybe I'm being too much of a taskmaster, but I did think it was a major theme, the terrorist attack seemed to be. Like, that was top 3 plot point kind of aspect of it.
I guess I was more focused on his job.
So what about brave and heroic Robert De Niro?
He was
So
great.
Robert De Niro's in it.
He
Doesn't have a big...
He was Tuttle.
Yeah, he's Tuttle, the guy they're actually after.
Right.
And then they get some poor schlep.
Because he's a rogue
HVAC.
duct repairman.
Yeah.
And he's going without the proper authority and the forms.
Because everything is run by the government.
Yeah.
And it takes so long to get anything done. Although, in the one case that he comes and repairs the ducts, the actual government shows up, and who was the actor? It was Bob Hoskins.
I
that
almost
guy
wrote
is?
it down. Yes, I do know who
Bob Hoskins was one of the government HVAC guys who never get anything done. But this one time, they just show up immediately.
Right on time.
And the fact that they're rejected because already it's been fixed by this freelance kind of rogue guy who's so that the resistance isn't the terrorists. The resistance are people just fixing it themselves.
Right.
I will say, as far as like social commentary, I feel like it felt more like dealing with an airline or a phone company than it did with the government. Like or you know what, a medical insurance company, to bring back that.
Oh.
Because it was all about getting buried in bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And the reality of my life is, aside from doing my taxes, which are not fun, I don't actually deal with the government much at all. But I deal with corporations a lot, and they are the ones that make me want to throw my phone through the window. And
I work for a big corporation that definitely is not filled with levels of bureaucracy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Steve, that's good that your employer
Good,
is
I'm
the
glad
one.
I said that will be on the transcript that ultimately gets pulled and read at my dismissal.
No, man, you're good. You're a good soldier.
That's right. Yeah, I guess so. Okay. Yeah, I would have to agree on the healthcare thing, because we've gone rounds with a recent medication for one of the kids that's been like, oh, this month we started on this much, and then next month they need to change the dose. You have to get another approval.
Yeah.
Like, wait, but it's the same medicine. Well, yeah. Does it cost
Almost
anymore?
makes
Actually, it costs less.
Almost makes you want to kill somebody, doesn't it?
That's almost as good as smoking kills.
That was a good one.
Pretty good.
The fast, I think that, yeah. But what I loved about yours was that it was so clueless.
It was genuine. I had no idea. I thought it was down the street. I swear to God. Okay.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Inside. We've
Hello.
been doing this pod long enough to have inside jokes.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Yeah, we have.
So there were some pretty funny signs,
favorite.
like slogans. Did you pay attention to those? Nice.
Help the Ministry of Information help you.
Yeah.
They're supposed to have all the information.
Yeah.
They don't have it.
Yeah.
You need to help them help you.
Here's the one I like. Suspicion breeds confidence.
Suspicion breeds confidence is a great one.
And they're just like signs on the wall as you're going through the movie. I think it's pretty great.
All right, so there's another one.
Yeah.
It was a billboard, and it was happiness. We're all in this together.
Yeah, and everybody says that all the time.
They do.
Yeah.
And what I love is that during the COVID years, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
My mom was like, no, we're not. We're all in this by ourselves. Like, everybody's supposed to stay away from everybody else, so that's how we're all in it. And so she's like, how am I in it with anybody else?
Yeah. I think that was the wear a mask for somebody else, even though get vaxxed because of somebody else, not because of you.
Right.
I think that was supposed to be the message, but
we're all selfish fucks. Like, that
Yeah.
doesn't work.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one that I like. Don't suspect a friend.
Report
him.
Yeah. It was a great sign. Don't suspect a friend. Report. Yeah.
And there was, and when we were at the mall, we're doing
I like
Christmas.
that you were looking at me through your glasses.
We're doing
there.
Christmas shopping through the mall, at the mall, and there was a church, and there was like I don't know, but the church was carrying a banner that was like that Christian, put Christ back in Christmas kind of thing again, but and they were called the Christians Consumers for Christ is what the name of the group was, and they're in the mall shopping or doing a parade like thing.
Yeah. All right.
And
I felt like, some of that stuff was lost probably on me because of the amount of attention that I paid.
I feel like you watched it pretty carefully. You missed the terrorism subplot, but maybe that's just it's all easy to jumble together.
I mean, I knew about at least a couple of the explosions.
I think maybe with my students and with you and with mere mortals, I do probably, to me, it seems really, really, really obvious. And I just kind of forget that I really have been doing this for my whole life.
Yeah.
And like I've done a dissertation and I've done, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've studied this, but it almost feels like the kind of thing that you just get.
Yeah, welcome
But-
to my world with anything tech.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then
And normal people think they should be able to just understand it or
That's what I want.
yeah.
And I got a call today when I press the button on my steering wheel and I tell the digital assistant that I have where I want to go, it doesn't give me the voice directions, and I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do this over the phone. Like, you're gonna have to come here and I can show you on the car how to, and it's like, that's something that doesn't plug in the car.
Yeah.
But I still have ownership over all of the technical features that are misunderstood by this user. I love you, Mom.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think it's painful when we're good at things that other people aren't.
Yes.
Because we've lost sight that in the years of us getting good at the thing,
You weren't good at it at first.
Yeah.
That's
But
the
you
hardest
don't-
part.
But you don't remember that part very well.
Doesn't that make it hard to teach people? Because you wonder how they suck so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
true.
I know. That's
It's
what makes
difficult.
teaching for me difficult on the technical side.
Yeah.
Where I show up
Yeah.
and I'm like, how do you not know this?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I
because
remember
you've been out of
that.
school a year.
I remember those reports about you throwing like dry erase
Yeah.
racers at students'
Totally.
heads and things like
I did,
that.
yeah.
And
Yep.
and they're like, that's how we do it in the corporate world. Mm-hmm. And we're just like, hey, that's good for the students. I was
is.
on your side, by the way,
It's true.
at the Inquisition.
Well, it didn't end
yeah,
well.
yeah.
I don't have that job anymore. Thank you, Augustana College.
Obviously,
Oop.
yeah. You
Give it a good
there we
ding.
go,
Yeah.
Augustana College.
Yeah.
By the way, the report somebody. You don't suspect your friend. Report him. I just had to do like hours of mandatory government compliance.
Sexual harassment training?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anna did it today, too.
It is. I can't believe that there hasn't been a lawsuit yet because
How did you do on the pretest? Because there was a
I got
pretest.
100%.
And
It's
how
so
did you
easy.
do on the follow-up test?
I got 100%.
Anna did not get 100%. She got 100% on the pretest and did
And
worse
she got
on the...
nice.
Pretty
I
great.
should have done that. So here's one of the things that it's a paranoid vision of the world. This particular version of like sexual harassment and bias and all that. And what it is, it's focused on microaggressions, and we all have to be hyper vigilant. And here is a absolute. There's a part of the whole thing that you have to kind of consume, and then you have to answer correctly on the test at the end.
Oh my
If you don't
God.
do it right, you have to take the thing again. You have to get this right. So you have to comply. And here's the thing that you have to do. If you walk into an employee space, even if you don't personally know these colleagues, it's a big
Okay.
lot of, and one of them is making a joke in a Chinese accent, not only are you required to be repulsed by this, you need to intervene.
Oh.
And I wrote in the exam, yes, of course I would intervene because I needed to pass this thing to get out.
Right.
But I'm just going to say it out there in the world, and even if my employers are listening,
Can I tell you?
I
I'm
am not
expecting-
going to police people's poor joke taste among, you know what I mean?
Right.
That is just not
I'm
one of the big
expecting
concerns of the
jackbooted
world.
thugs to be drilling or to be cutting a hole in the ceiling, coming and taking you away.
Oh, yeah. Not the guy that told the joke, but the guy that didn't
That
intervene.
didn't intervene. That's what I mean. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not telling the joke.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything about
Yeah.
someone else telling the joke.
This particular version of this
It feels like it
thing,
fits into this pretty well.
it is, somebody is going to sue one of these colleges for it because what it is,
Having to sit through the training?
no, it's political coercion. You
Yes.
have to, it's so obviously coded as progressive,
Yeah.
like liberal, like, identity politics progressive in really explicitly political ways. And you have to answer right or you don't. So there's absolutely no room to just say, no, I'm
not going to do that.
I don't believe in
But you
that.
took
I
the
believe
test, and you said you would.
I believe in free speech to the point where people are allowed to tell bad jokes, and I do not believe that you're really creating the harm by somebody telling a joke like that
Right.
you're trying to tell me that is. And I suppose maybe
We're getting canceled again. But anyway.
I'm just saying
agree with
that
you, but-
if I were administrator and I was looking at the way the winds are blowing, I would say, I don't want to be written up about this, because if somebody actually takes that thing who wants to make a big deal about it and and put it on like a news program that has, a Joe Rogan like news, podcast or something, it will look really bad.
Yeah.
Because it does look bad. It is a really kind of a gross experience taking that test, and I'm left
took
of
a long
center,
time.
and it took a long time.
And
it was also just a deliberate waste of my time.
I think Anna paid less attention probably than I did to Brazil because she did not mention any of this to me. That's normally something that she'd be like, "Oh my God, you won't believe." So I will have to ask when I go back home
About the Chinese.
yeah, that in particular.
Yeah.
And if the joke was funny. Oh, you didn't hear it. So
That's what I wanted to know. Context.
Wait a minute. Was it really
How
funny?
good was the accent? Because I've heard some bad ones, but
Terrible.
yeah. You know what's funny though,
God.
and this is what I want to talk about. I want to the people that made this program, I want to just get them in a room and go, okay, hey, if you guys are listening, you come on a pod sometime.
You're
We'll
like,
talk.
I want to give you an example.
But
of
I
a
can always
joke.
do a Russian accent, right?
Yes.
Why can I do a Russian accent?
Well,
Yes.
yes.
Hey, comrade.
Yes. Yes. Niet. Like, yeah, you're totally allowed.
Russian accent funny.
You did Indian once on this.
I did.
We might have gotten canceled for that, too.
I disavowed it pretty quickly after I said it.
I don't know if you did,
I think I said, I shouldn't say that.
but I'm going to.
I
Maybe it was something
already
like that.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's already out there.
I did realize that I shouldn't have said it. No, but what I said is that I liked Hank Azaria. I'm free Hank.
And that was a
Free Hank.
That was a good character.
It was a
Free
good
Hank.
character. And the thing about the character Apu, we're drifting here, but
It's all right.
is that he was a lovable character. And he
super
had
lovable.
dignity. He was doing his job. He was a positive character. He certainly was no worse than anybody else.
There was a great episode where Apu had a Trans Am.
Nice.
And he's singing Hot Blooded by
Hell
Foreigner.
yeah.
And
With
it's
the accent.
With the accent.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
it's
funny.
super funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
Accents are funny. Come on,
are
people.
funny.
Let's be.
Yeah.
You know what?
Wait,
When
I'm
I-
allowed to make fun of my wife for
when we
her
go,
accent.
Yeah, when we go to foreign countries and we work hard to try to speak their language, we sound ridiculous.
Right.
No doubt about it.
I make fun
And
of Americans speaking Spanish all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny when people can't quite say the words right.
Yeah.
Speaking of cars,
Oh.
I like the little car
The
he
little
had.
car he had. Yeah, way to bring it back.
I also like for all the dystopia of this world, their transportation system was pretty
Pretty
good.
dope. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Yep.
they had like that truck that she had, and
Oh,
she could
Mad
get
Max
around.
truck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he had that little 3-wheeler.
It was like a
It was
just
like
a one-seater.
It was a 1-seater, but it was like the coolest. What are they called? Jitneys? Not jitneys. They're like
Jeepney?
what?
A jeepney? It's not really like that either.
I was tuk tuk. I've heard them called tuk
Jeepney,
tuks.
tuk-tuk, yeah,
They're
yeah.
the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
It was like that, except narrower. It was like
It was stylish.
like a fighter jet
It was cool
with
looking.
it looked like maybe there was a seat in the back.
Yeah.
And then terrorists blew it up.
Yeah, that's right.
See, I knew that.
No, that wasn't terrorists. Those were just the kid. Oh, was that a terrorist
Well, I don't
attack?
know. Probably.
Yeah, I think it was a terrorist attack.
See, look at you missing the terrorist attack.
You're right. But the little kids were vandalizing it too, because they were becoming just problems.
Little
because they were.
terrorists.
Yeah,
I have a friend who used to refer to his kids as little terrorists.
yeah.
Yeah.
They. It's true. I know somebody who said when his kid tries to hold out for something, like acts like a brat to get something, he goes,
Yeah.
I don't negotiate with terrorists.
Nice.
And it's a good one. You
I
know?
like that.
I mean, and he just doesn't, and it's a good policy because the kids realize they're never going to get that by that tactic. So parents out there, you know what? The Moon Underwater, giving parental advice.
Right.
Don't give in to
We
the
are
terrorists.
everywhere tonight.
We are. And he also takes a public transportation, and it gets him right to his building. And it's
Yeah.
kind of like it's like a elevator that goes sideways in a way, or like an airport transit. Anyway, I like it a lot. So,
Yeah.
so the whole Mussolini, at least the trains were on time. I heard that was a myth.
Oh.
The trains weren't actually
It's
particularly.
Italy. How could that be true?
Well, I think that somebody looked at the record of trains and it wasn't
They were
better
like,
than
wildly
it was.
late.
No, it was just like the same as it was 10 years before. Like it was like he just weirdly kind of said that, and then people kept repeating it that we're going to make the trains on time. Or
my wife's grandmother talked about Franco in Spain,
Yeah.
and she's like, well, when Franco was in power, there was no drugs. My wife goes, well, there were drugs. You just take the people and they'd kill them.
yeah,
And Grandma goes, well, if it worked.
yeah.
And it's like, oh no, you don't really mean that. I can't.
Of course, she meant that.
She absolutely did. She's like, well, look, there's ways to deal with it. Tolerance, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was having none of it. There was a Santa scene. Speaking of this being a Christmas movie, because I'm going to connect this
Chim
to something else.
Chim chimney. Here, do the scene while I do the background music.
Oh, Santa asking a child on his lap, "What do you want for Christmas?" A credit card. The kid says a credit card.
Nice.
I thought it was pretty great.
That is good.
And
That is good.
very ironically, the day after I got my kid a credit card.
Ah, so you are that Santa.
Well, I mean, it's like, look, this is for emergencies only.
Yeah.
Because she travels for the sports ball stuff.
Yeah.
If you're out of town, you don't have money, here.
That's
But
responsible.
I thought of that. I was like, what kind of a parent am I? All right, so now on to the Christmas question. And we haven't even gotten to the end, I guess. So do we want to wrap it up?
We've only 46 minutes.
No,
in
but I mean
usually.
wrap up the end of the film.
The film.
The film,
let me
because
think.
we're going to come back to Christmas. Because this episode is dropping out of order of recording,
Yeah.
which is a little unusual for us.
Wait.
So should we go to Act 2? Act 2 is Lowry ends up
Yeah.
he
We haven't
ends
been
up
summary.
taking a promotion, which he didn't really want, but he wants to help out the babe.
He takes it, so he does that, and then it's all of a sudden the information. It's kind of the
Retrieval.
CIA.
The information retrieval.
Yeah,
Instead of just Ministry of Information, he's
retrieval.
now in retrieval, so he can look up who she is.
Yeah, but also it's the Ministry of Torture as well.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get information, right?
Right. You torture
people.
him.
Yeah.
And so he goes to his new office, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's this tiny little office.
Maybe the best
That was
bit
the
in the
best
whole thing. So it's an office that is like
It's split in two.
It's split in two, and it shares a desk.
Shares the desk
with the office next door, but there's a hole cut in the wall so the desk slides back and forth.
And they're fighting
because they're always fighting over it. It's pretty great.
It's pretty great.
Hey, I wanted to ask you something.
Hey, I want to answer.
You're the tech guy. I need you. You're the everyman, but you're
true.
also the tech guy.
It's also true.
A lot of technology in this movie.
There is.
What did you think about their technological kind of innovations?
Loved it.
And yeah,
I loved the.
What you think it was pretty effective?
It was like a short circuit. They had like the eyeballs that were like popping out of the different robots.
Yeah.
And then they were like running into them in line.
Yeah.
And like extra aggressive tech.
Yeah. But also there was like weird magnifying glasses in front of the screens.
Yeah. They had the magnifying glasses, and then the keyboards were typewriters.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were really good. And in the scene that we're on, there was one computer for two of them, and so he goes next door and realizes that this guy's got a computer. And there is a very awkward scene where they are getting closer and closer, and they're like hugging because one's trying to get around the other, and the other guy's trying to stop him, and so he's like standing up in front of him. That was really funny, and I guess that was a very Monty Python-esque scene. He's like, no, you can't use my no, just for 1 minute, I just need to use the computer. And because clearly it was one office that had a computer and a desk,
Yeah,
and they just
yeah.
split it right down the middle by putting
I
a wall
wouldn't-
and an extra door.
I wouldn't want somebody to use my computer. Right?
I'm afraid to ask.
No, it just is a. I think that your computers.
You're like, let me clear my browsing history first.
No, it's not that.
Just
Because
kidding.
I mean, you know,
Right.
everybody knows
Private window.
Yeah, but it's just that your fingers are on it. It's like your keyboards
Do you
get
know-
kind of crusty, and they're just, and also the way that you organize all of your files and everything, it becomes very, very personal in a way that, I mean, sure, there are always like library computers and public computers that have a generic kind of like interface.
Yeah.
But
The-
and also have a lot of writing on it. People would steal and sell for $1 million.
true.
Things like that. I don't want people on my computer.
In the old
I don't
days,
want people on my phone either. Do you like? You don't not going to let people like.
I mean, in the old days, the phone was the dirtiest thing in your house.
Yeah.
And because
Yeah,
you know,
everybody's
you
talking to it.
clean
Yep.
and you don't not like wiping the phone down or anything, and your mouth is right on it.
You're talking
and-
about the landline, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the good
Yeah,
old
yeah.
landline.
right.
Yeah.
The kids should look up what a landline is. My favorite is when phones show up in movies,
Yeah.
and I'll ask my kids, I'm like, what do you think that is? They're like, at first they're like, what? What is
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
And then eventually, you know, you tell them, and now they're like, it's a phone, Dad. You've already done this.
Yeah. But
okay.
you
fine.
had fun, kind of
I
like.
did. Yeah. What do
yeah.
you suppose that is? I don't.
That's
what
strange.
could that be?
It's a vase.
Yeah.
But there's nowhere to put the flower.
No,
you're
that's
right.
really
Yeah.
weird.
Sculpture.
Yeah.
It's a sculpture.
It's a way of you type messages out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then handing it to them. So
Okay, so we're
so now,
moving
but
through.
now the keyboard is the dirtiest thing in your house, more than likely, or your cell
Yeah.
phone.
Yep.
How often
Especially
do you
when
wipe your
jizz
cell
in
phone
it.
down? It's gonna. Well, it would be a couple weeks in a row. Yeah. But no. But no, because it's dropping this week. Pretty good.
Merry
Okay.
Christmas.
Merry
Merry-
Jizzin' Christmas.
Christmas. Yep.
Okay, so so now he's trying to figure out who this Jill Layton is. No,
Yeah.
Kim Grease. Sorry, Kim is her name.
Okay.
The actress is Jill.
Okay.
And he's trying to figure out how he can help her, where, what they have on her, whatever, right? That was never that clear to me what he was trying to find. And then he finds it about her.
He's trying to find her address. Is that it or something
Yeah,
else?
he's like creeping on her real hard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is a 100% stalking.
So that
experience,
might make
yeah.
it into this harassment thing that you just
Yeah, you shouldn't do that.
No.
You shouldn't
Don't
find
be-
some
Don't be creeping.
random poor person
Right.
and then decide that she's good looking, so you're going to go and change jobs.
She is literally the woman of his
Just-
dreams.
Change jobs just so you can get her personal information. So yeah, one of the
And his
things
old boss did not
one
want
of the trainings I did was FERPA, which is that one was fine because those are like
It's pronounced FUPA.
it is not. FERPA is just it's a federal law that says you can't share. Is that educational records are private
Right.
and I can't share them with other people.
Do you know I
besides-
never had to take any of this training when I worked there?
No, you didn't. Not in those days. Nobody cared.
Fantastic.
But I don't mind the FERPA training because it's a fairly straightforward law. But the idea of like inherent bias, like I just think they leaned into this idea that there's all these microaggressions.
Well, the term
that one
microaggression
was
of itself
shitty,
is
man.
like-
It was
yeah,
just a shitty training thing, and
Yeah.
it was long. It was the one that was the longest and the most tedious, and the least clear.
I
in
try to
terms
err
of-
on the side of macroaggressions.
yes.
That's obvious.
Like yeah, I do think that we should be clear about our
Right.
intentions and stuff.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
anyway, let's we
Microaggressions.
don't need to
You don't
get-
even know you're doing it. I'm like,
Yeah.
then how do I stop doing it?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
No, we could. That's a rabbit hole we're not going to go down right now. But I do think that
Can I get a link to the training and maybe?
you can do the training if you want. Next time I have to do it, I'll just have you come up and.
Tack it up, and then it'll be done in no time, and you'll get an A plus.
That's how you guys do it.
Yep.
Hack
yeah,
it.
I just hacked it.
Hack into my computer, and then do my
Yeah.
All right,
Obviously,
thanks.
somebody would do the
Thank
training for you.
Thank you. That's nice.
So okay, so we're in Act 2. There is finally the long kiss with the music that.
She's a sassy woman that doesn't accept him right off the bat.
But when she does, and they smooch.
They smooch.
The music is great.
And there's a car chase where the truck that she's driving,
the Mad Max truck.
Mad Max truck against the cop vehicles that look like electric kind of. They look like giant toasters driving around, and they crash into a mall, and then there's a terrorist
Blues
attack.
Brothers.
Yeah, terrorist attack,
which he
and
blames her for.
he thinks she's a terrorist because she has a gift that is. What was the gift again?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I don't know. She didn't. It wasn't that important. She said, "No, this was what was in it."
Yeah, but he thought it was a bomb.
He thought it was a bomb.
But there was, and he sees his mother's friend who is getting plastic surgery, but hers is bad.
Her complications had complications, and she's like bleeding all over her face.
And she goes from
bandages.
like using a walker to being in a wheelchair, and her bandages are like, and it's also like the bandages are like crusty and bloody.
Yeah.
Like it is
around
not
her face. They look pretty
glamorous at all.
They're brown and crusty.
Yeah,
like they've been on there a while.
Yeah, it's nasty.
Pretty gross.
It is gross, and also just oldness.
Yeah, also gross.
Kind of gross.
Yeah.
We're
getting gross.
Yeah,
as we speak.
We are.
So
that happens, and then things get a little weird. Doesn't he? He runs away with her to his mom's house,
but it's not clear. So that's one of those like, wait, where are they going? And then they show up there. I was like, I think it's his mom's.
Yeah, it's his mom's house.
Because it's fancy, and there's fancier ducks that are smaller.
Yeah.
Than what everybody else has.
So he's a rich kid, and his mom is trying to but she's away getting more plastic surgery. Right. And so the house is unoccupied, so he brings this poor girl to his rich guy house, and she's like, wow, it's nice.
Yep.
And then they have a lovemaking scene, kind of.
But that's the music when they kiss.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious. That was funny.
And the secret police, they're not secret police, they're just police.
Just the police.
Yeah, but they're militarized police.
They look like Nazis.
And they break through they come right through houses without.
Right.
So they get in, and for all of the incompetence of the government, they are good at tracking people, but he also was not very good at hiding his own tracks, and he was pretty bad about the way that he found information on her. Oh, he goes away and he erases her identity.
Mm-hmm.
He breaks into the corporation.
He deletes her.
And he deletes her. Not the corporation, but the...
Ministry. It was the Ministry of Information.
He says she died.
Information retrieval, yes.
Yeah, and he somehow gets in, and then he comes back to, make... And then the cops come in.
Make sweet love.
I don't think that is very well explained why he was caught. But they were just following him, I guess.
Right.
It wasn't that hard.
There was a number of those things. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, and part of it by then is that they've established at the beginning of the movie that they can just do this, right? That they know where they are.
Yeah.
We don't have to know why.
Yeah.
And so, okay, fine.
So they come in and they grab him, not her.
Right.
We don't know what happens to her.
We never know what happens to Julia either in 1984. Not really.
So they grab him, and then he's in the
torture chamber with Jack, his buddy.
And his buddy is the torturer, which he's figured out by now. And it's Michael Palin, who's like...
He's great.
Yeah, but he's also like nerdy and not macho at all.
Wearing a terrifying mask, though.
Yeah, he comes in with a mask. Yeah, it's like a baby mask.
Yeah, it's very weird.
Yeah. The Killers, the movie The Killers, I think
Yes.
they wore that mask. And I think The Strangers, the horror film The Strangers, it's a home invasion horror
it's a
movie.
really good one.
At least one of the characters wore the baby mask. And they go to torture him, and he's like, dude, hey,
Jack,
man, you
wait
know
a
me?
minute.
Come on,
Yeah.
man, you're Jack. He's like, oh, you can't know me. You screwed everything up.
Yeah,
And,
he says you screwed everything up.
And then we get into everything gets kind of really weird.
Tuttle comes through the ceiling.
Yeah, Tuttle and a whole army of HVAC
Yeah.
vigilantes come through, repelling from this high ceiling.
It's true.
And then they shoot Jack, and they free him, and then there's a shootout, and it's a big chase shootout. They go through the city, all kinds of crazy stuff, and then Tuttle is defeated by, this is, I thought, really brilliant and really beautiful and just gorgeous. Like, this was great filmmaking. Remember how Tuttle died, I guess?
No. Sorry.
So, Tuttle is rescuing Sam, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he's running around, and they're kind of outside, and then pieces of newsprint and trash are blowing in the wind, and a couple of pieces get caught on his leg. You remember this now, or no?
No.
It's one of the iconic scenes of the movie, and another piece.
I'm afraid I'm going to have to watch this again, and I don't
You
really
should
want
watch
to.
that scene. You'll find it on YouTube. It's the most famous scene in the movie, probably. And pieces of trash just keep like blowing against him, and he keeps pulling them off, but more keep blowing on him. And then Sam is waiting for him, but he can't move because all these pieces of trash keep, like newspaper and just garbage and like plastic bags, and they just keep covering him and more. And pretty soon he's like covered like a mummy or something, like every part of his body, and then he falls down on the ground, and the trash is just sort of like swirling around him. And finally, Sam comes up to rescue him and runs up and starts pulling the trash off him. And there's nothing there. It's just...
He's just gone.
He's gone. It's just a pile of trash in the wind.
I guess I remember.
And he's gone. And
I should have seen it about an hour ago.
So that happens, and then Sam's on his own, and he runs. And he finally finds himself in the funeral of his mother.
Oh, God, it's amazing.
And then... he goes in and he sees his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But his girlfriend is now his mother because she has been turned into her by the plastic surgeon.
And then he knocks over the casket.
He knocks over the casket, and it's a rotting...
It's just blood and guts that pour out of the casket.
Yeah.
And then he falls into the casket and into a hole.
Yeah.
And it's clearly a dream.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a
through
sudden...
through the hole, he eventually lands...
back in the chair in the torture chamber.
No.
Oh.
You missed the final kind of thing that he does in his dream. So it's a dream here. It's
right. Oh,
everything.
He's out on the farm, like the homestead.
So he lands in this warehouse, and he kind of like is running away from the cops. They're everywhere, and he goes into this little house, this little room, but it's a portable room, and the room starts moving out of the building, and it's the little room. It's like a little mobile home.
Yeah.
That was on the back of his girlfriend's truck.
Yeah.
When he first escaped with her, when he first really met her.
Right.
And it's that, and she drives, and she looks out the back window at him that I'm rescuing you, and they go out, and they drive, and they find themselves in this like beautiful green, like primitive area, and they park, and then there's the dream that he had where he's flying above. I don't remember if he rescues her again, but they show them, and they have like a little homesteader, like trad wife kind of situation going on.
Sure.
And then they kind of like the torturers.
They
look back and go, well,
pop up in front of him.
He's gone now. And he's gone completely crazy where he's not
Yeah.
reacting to the torture anymore.
He's in the torture chamber and he's like zoned out.
He's escaped. The whole idea was that he couldn't escape this world, and now the only way he did was by being tortured into insanity.
Yeah.
And he's dreaming of this world that doesn't exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's what happened.
So
And that's the end.
So I did promise I would talk about another movie that I got similar vibes from.
Yeah.
And it's one that I think also has great visuals.
Yeah.
Maybe more accurate than
Yeah.
we would like to admit, but it would be Idiocracy.
Oh, I want to see that. Never seen it.
Stop. Really?
I haven't seen it. No, I haven't seen it. I didn't. I mean, you're speechless. I could see, but no, I've been wanting to watch it for a long time. That was on the list that I gave you too.
I mean, I figured you'd seen it.
No, I haven't yet. I want to though. No.
Man, now I kind of want to change what I'm calling for.
Okay, so you don't want to spoil it? Is that what you're saying, or what?
Yeah, I mean, there is some Idiocracy here.
Do you want to just table that for when we do? We'll do Idiocracy for sure.
Yeah.
In the near future, nearish future.
Okay.
So, hey, I actually just wanted to ask you another kind of Brazil question.
Ooh. I've never been. Oh,
what do you think
movie.
the title refers to?
I was wondering that myself.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you come to any conclusions? Were you? Because I just. No, I'll let you.
I didn't have any. I did not have any revelations when I saw it, and I didn't look it up.
Yeah.
So I have no idea.
Well, I just assumed before I watched it, and when I was watching it, I'm like, oh, this must be set in Brazil. But I'm like, I don't know, maybe these big Brazilian cities could be like this. But by the end of it, this time, I'm like, that was not set in Brazil.
Not at all.
It was like the weather. It was more like England if London expanded into a vast wasteland of industrial kind of.
So Manchester.
Yeah, is that right?
Oh. Yeah, the north anyway is a little more industrial.
Do you know Birmingham?
I've been to Birmingham.
Birmingham?
Yep.
There's a great song. It's done. The Pogues do it, but it's an old traditional song that's supposed to be about Birmingham, and it's called "Dirty Old Town." Oh. It's got this great.
I loved it.
Great first line. It's like I met my girl at the factory wall.
Yeah.
It's all about this factory world and
I mean that's Birmingham, but
you liked it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I've been there. There used to be direct flights from Chicago, and the fact that my dad was an airline pilot meant that nobody was actually flying from Chicago to Birmingham meant that we could get free flights to go to England, and then it's like an hour train ride, hour and a half train ride to London, hour and a half.
Okay.
But I've actually been there and stayed a week for work, and I found it to be a charming place. Really liked it. Food was amazing. I just liked everything about it. Okay. All right, I'm ready. I'm ready for my last part.
All right, let's do it.
All right, so Christmas movie. Oh wait, why is it named Brazil?
Oh,
yeah. Wait a minute.
It isn't. I did look it up. It's the song Brazil, which is the theme song of the movie, and Brazil is just a exotic, lush, especially in like 1980s. It's the place where the jungles are thick and the beaches are beautiful and the women are beautiful and you know what I mean? It's this great exotic place that you want to escape to, but in the movie it doesn't exist. And that's why all his dreams were in a kind of jungle, lush kind of like area that you might imagine as
I was
Brazil,
going to say it had something to do with the dreams. All right.
and yet everything in reality was. Although I think probably Brazil is not a a paradise in every way. I'm
Right.
sure it does have wonderful things about it, but I've never been
never
to
been.
Brazil. I haven't either. I want to go to
Yeah,
Brazil.
me too.
But okay, that's it. It's
All right.
it wasn't an obvious title.
Okay.
The title was misleading in a way. I thought that it would have something to do with Brazil. Doesn't have anything to do with
Definitely,
Brazil at all.
and it wasn't
Yeah.
even in Portuguese.
No,
I know.
apparently not. I think it was English,
Well,
as far as I could tell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
close enough.
That kind of English. That
There were odd
Yeah.
American accents thrown in.
yeah.
I mean, not odd American, just the odd American
Yeah.
accent. Like,
Yeah.
oh, there's an American, maybe.
mixed in with the
Yeah,
whoever actor they happen to get.
right. Like
Yeah.
Robert De Niro,
Just talk the way you talk.
which
you
was
know?
kind of fun.
Yeah.
Young Bobby De Niro.
Yeah, he was pretty young, but he
Yeah.
didn't seem that young though. He
No,
was smoking
he's
a
just
stove.
Had a lot of work done
Yeah,
since then to make
Yeah.
him continue to look about that young.
yeah, maybe that's right.
He looked like Goodfellas young, which was
Remember The Irishman?
8
Did
years
you
later.
see The Irishman?
yeah.
There was like when he's playing his young self, but they CGI'd it in a way, but yet he still moved like
Yeah.
an elderly man,
Yeah.
and he's like stomping some guy,
Yeah.
but it looks like he's like needs his walker.
like, "Where's my cane?"
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it was a little
Ideally,
awkward.
I'd hit him with that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about Christmas movies.
All right,
It's
let's do it.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Um,
Father
you
Christmas,
said that
give us
this
some
was
money.
a Christmas movie,
I did.
and
My bold
what I
claim.
want to,
My
what
bold claim.
I would like to ask you, is it more of a Christmas movie than Die Hard?
I don't know. I mean, that's Die Hard as a Christmas movie is a internet obsession or meme or
It is.
whatever.
Where do you come down on that?
I don't care. I just am
But
aggressive.
don't give yourself away. Sorry, I'm singing. My turn to sing now.
Oh, it's a great song.
It is a great song.
Yeah.
From Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheap Trick.
Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. These headphones are interfering with my Cheap Trick listening, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched it in a while, and when I watched it, I didn't think of it as a Christmas movie.
Can I make the argument?
Yeah, do it.
It's a
Do your
movie
thing.
about a Christmas party.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
Literally, it's people who get basically their Christmas party gets
So
hijacked.
That's why they're in the building.
That's why they're there.
Okay.
And so
So it's Christmas.
definitely a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
Christmas is important to the plot. Yeah.
it is. All right, what's your
So in this
favorite
one,
Christmas movie?
My favorite Christmas.
You could say Brazil.
movie.
Don't say It's a Wonderful Life.
No, I wouldn't say that.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
I would. I read this a critique of it. It's a Wonderful Life that was great. Is that the hellhole kind of that the city was that his town
Yeah.
was going to become.
Yeah.
That if he didn't live, that's the
Yeah.
plot, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He gets to
He
see
sees
that.
what happens if he doesn't jump off the bridge. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. But it's like this foggy, like dock town with all these like sailor bars that just looks awesome. Like, and it's just like
It's
this.
like a pretty sweet place to
it's
go
this
hang out.
magical kind of place of like bars and sailors and all this action going on. And what the place becomes is just this really hokey kind of like, boring central Iowa town with a courthouse in the middle and like, oh man, I prefer that. Yeah, so that was a take on that. I like A Christmas Carol. I really like A Christmas Carol, and I'm not sure. You know what I really love on Christmas is
A Muppet Christmas Carol?
yeah, that'd be fun.
It's a good
but
one. There is one.
Actually, NPR does like a reading of the whole text of A Christmas Carol,
really?
and just putting it on the radio with really good voices. It's like a full voice actor kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I really like listening to that,
Okay.
and the first line is Scrooge was dead. And it goes with that. Dead as a doornail is a kind of. Anyway, it's a really.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nice.
I kind of like that.
I'm probably getting that wrong. The dead as a doornail, but anyway,
it
it's.
sounds right. If you'd like to send corrections,
Yeah, please
send
do.
them to the guys at the Moon Underwater.
Yeah. Or send it.
Pubcast.com.
Send it to the Moon Underwater in England.
Right. Send it to them.
Tell
them about it. All right, so my favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if it's a Christmas movie. I'm going to go with it is. But it's sort of non-specific holidays. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah. They
Fucking
call that
love
a
that
Thanksgiving movie.
But he's just trying to get home for the holidays.
Yeah.
We don't know which ones.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of do. But I still, that's when Christmas starts.
It's gorgeous.
Thanksgiving.
I love it.
It's a great movie.
I love it.
Film.
It's funny. Film. I love that one.
You're going the wrong way. How do they know which way we're going? Yeah. How do they know? It's amazing. I mean, there's so many. Those aren't pillows. There's so many great lines. There's so many great moments.
And it's just good. Those two actors, Steve Martin.
They're so funny together.
Yeah. And what's his name? What's the other guy?
John Candy?
Jan Candy. Yeah.
Not Jan Candy.
John
Candy.
Candy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to say Chris Farley because they're kind of the same guy.
He was the next fat guy that was funny.
And died young.
But died young.
Yeah.
Well, John Candy
SNL.
lasted longer.
Yeah.
Less cocaine.
Yeah, he did.
Funny how that works.
His career was also longer and more. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was Uncle Buck,
Yeah, that was good.
which is great. And I
Yeah.
want to say in the same neighborhood as the house from, if not the same house, from the movie that I can't name that I just said.
Yeah.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. All right. Well, maybe that means we've had enough.
I know. I feel like there's other Christmas movies that we could talk about. What about the...
Home Alone.
Yeah, whatever.
All
I'm
right.
fine with it, but I'm not interested.
You want a movie that maybe isn't such a Christmas
I was
movie.
thinking more like a horror movie or something. Like there's like Silent Night, Deadly Night, I think.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a horror
Yeah.
Christmas. I haven't seen
seen it.
I don't watch those kind of movies. I don't watch slasher movies, but it seems like I like that there are horror Christmas movies out
Yeah.
there.
Who doesn't?
Are there any racy Christmas movies? Sexy Santa Christmas movies? I don't know.
Bad Santa.
Yeah, that's great.
So funny.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wait. Trading Places.
Trading Places.
Is that a Christmas movie? It's got the Christmas.
I don't know.
Does it take too long? Because there's the part where Dan Aykroyd is the Santa and he steals. You remember talking about?
No, I haven't.
So Dan Aykroyd plays the rich business guy, and Eddie Murphy is the poor guy. And the big finance guys decide they would say, "Well, can we get this guy off the street? Can he do our job just as well as us?"
Right.
And so they do a bet, and Eddie Murphy ends up doing really well, and Dan Aykroyd gets fired. But then he becomes kind of homeless and destitute himself, and he becomes a Santa, and he
Okay.
steals like a salmon from the Christmas party,
Yeah.
and he runs and he's eating it on the subway, and it's like tangled up in his beard, and he's eating the whole salmon.
Eating it,
like yeah.
stuffing it in his face. Yeah. Pretty great.
So that's pretty Christmassy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So I think we did it. I think
We
we
did
covered
a
this.
Christmas
and,
show.
Yeah. Hey,
This is
everybody.
the Christmas special.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
It's not really Christmas, right? This is going to come out like the 24th.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it'll be almost Christmas.
All right. Fine.
When most people listen to it.
I mean, it's December 24th right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
There you go.
Look at the moon underwater.
Look at all the snow we don't have.
Well,
there.
no, but serious. That's the moon underwater.
Indeed it is.
So the moon is large, and it's over the Mississippi River right in front of us, and it's kind of spilling onto the river. That's the reason I named this podcast this, because of this effect. So
There
here it
you
is.
go.
All right, people.
Thanks, team.
Should I turn up the volume?
Yes.
Before I... Ooh, whoa! I like it. I like coming
Hello.
in and
Yeah, it was
telling
on
us.
5, I think. I think you turned it up earlier.
Nah, I think I just was more aggressive with the turn. No, I cranked it down to 0 because.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, everybody, rate us, review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Tell a friend. We do have an announcement coming up eventually, but we'll do that next time.
Yeah.
And
Groovy.
all right, see
Thanks,
y'all.
people.